October, you probably know this by now because we talked about it, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and this year there are some new education initiatives aimed at curbing dating violence, especially among teenagers, even middle school girls especially.
One of the big questions is, can people change? We look at this high-profile case. We got Chris Brown, we got Rihanna, an example of clearly a victim of domestic abuse going back to the arms of her abuser. But is it possible that he really changed his ways since that very public altercation in which she was injured? So we decided to bring in the experts.
Jeannine Lisitski from Women Against Abuse is with us. She's on the far end. Jeannine, thanks for coming in. And Renee Norris-Jones, a domestic abuse survivor and advocate. Before we want to tell people about this cool press conference, very important press conference this afternoon, we need to find out more about your story, okay?
Yes.
Okay, you met some guy in your teens.
Right.
End up in a what? How many year relationship with this guy?
7-year relationship.
Was it all abusive?
No, it was not in the beginning. Not for maybe the first year or so.
And then what starts happening? What kind of abuse was it?
One day we were having a conversation. Friday night, date night, Chinese, Mexican, Italian. I was getting dressed. The next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor.
He smacked you?
He punched me. I was knocked out cold.
And then a lot of people say, okay, get the heck out of that relationship. How long did you stay with this person?
This was the late 70s.
Be honest.
Women Against, I was there for 7 years. Women Against Abuse was in its infancy. There were no PSAs, there were no television shows. I went to my father, who was he was my hero. And I said, I can't take this. And he looked at me and said, what did you think marriage was?
Oh my goodness. So
when you have that and you have society saying, well, you stay, you keep going back.
Do you think your dad was an abuser too?
I think at some point I've realized that.
Yeah.
But even society, I mean, when you went to a shelter back then, you maybe had a week or 2 weeks. So what I asked people was, if you had to pick your life up today, right now, and leave, kind of like a stalker, you can't go back home, you have no access to your bank account, your car, your job, how long will it take you to get your life together?
That's why people stayed, especially back in those days.
Well, when your time is up in the shelter, you have no place else to go.
Yeah.
You go to family, and they turn you back in, because he called them crying. So you go back, and each time you leave, you get smarter. You plan more, you prepare more, so you can finally make that permanent break.
Wow.
A lot of people, when they try to leave, is when the violence explodes.
My sister was killed in 2000, and she had left. And that's the most dangerous time for a woman, is when she's leaving.
He came back and killed her?
He came back and killed her. I had to tell my niece that, and she said, oh my God, it happened again. What hospital is she in? And I said, no, baby, she didn't make it.
I hope you don't mind telling the man that was abusing you, what happened to him?
Well, he finally went to jail for his crimes against women, but it was not because of what he did to me. A year and a half after the final divorce happened right here in Philadelphia, it was all over the news, he chopped up his mother with an axe. And my first thought was, and I still get chills to this day, it could have been me.
You're giving us chills with this story. So then you're giving us, it's so powerful, and we get mixed up in relationships, and some, girls especially think, well, he cares about me and he loves me so much. Does love have to hurt? You're working on some programs right now to tell our teenagers that you don't have to put up with this, and it's important to be aware that this is how it starts and it can grow.
Yes, I mean, we have services to respond to people in crisis, but at the same time, we know we need to get at the heart of this, and that means teaching young people about healthy relationships.
How young?
In middle school, in high school, and then also, what do you do if you find yourself in a violent relationship?
1 in 3
where
girls?
can you go for help? It's 1 in 3, and that's a recent CDC study that had really strong methodology.
Well, we bring up this Rihanna thing. That's not helping the situation at all, is it? These middle school girls and teenage girls, they love both Rihanna and Chris Brown, and they see they're back together.
There's been there's so much negativity around that, but we do know that it takes women approximately 7 times to leave a violent relationship.
7 times.
And we also know that perpetrators aren't going to change unless they have intensive treatment, like batter's intervention treatment.
Are we teaching this in our schools? I mean, the young girls, how to get If they get involved in a situation like this, how to get out of it? And
We are on a small scale because there's no support to be able to do that. I mean,
how do we change that?
We do it in about 1/6 of all schools in Philadelphia.
1/6.
How do we change it? Well, one way is today we have our I Pledge campaign annual press conference, and we're going to be announcing an initiative with Verizon where they're funding us to train teachers and counselors in schools about how to intervene in teen dating
So it's
violence.
afternoon, 4:30.
At Love Park.
The weather should be kind of decent by then,
Yes,
actually.
it's going to be clearing up.
You got these cute T-shirts. We'd be handing out these T-shirts and cards and giving
We will.
girls this information. I pledge. What's the pledge? Not to raise my hand in violence.
And to stand up against domestic violence, not to be silent, to talk about it, and to help.
Who do you want at the press conference, quickly?
The whole community.
Okay.
We want just the community at large, because this is an initiative that everyone can be involved in.
And because people like you tell your story, we're getting things changed.
And I was just going to say, if this kind of information was out there when I was a teenager, I had no clue. Had never seen it at home, even though it probably was happening. It wasn't on TV, so when I woke up, it was like, what is this? What do you do with this? So I think having that, like I told my daughter from the time she was probably 2, and my nieces, you know, this is what you look for to try to stop that cycle.
See?
It's education.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm here today.
Taking care of your daughter.
Right.
You're in a good relationship now?
I am.
Good. Thanks for coming
you.
on the show.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank
And
you.
if people can't make it to the press conference today, they can go to ipledgewaa.org and sign the pledge online, and they can tweet to #IPledgeBecause and tell us why you pledge.
That information will be on our website in probably 3 to 4 minutes, myfoxphilly.com. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got to take a break. Come back in 2 minutes.